Stop scrolling because you're going to want to hear this message. So today when I woke up, I heard the Lord say, "Did you enjoy your excavation?" So when I went to go look up excavation, I heard identity. So excavation is the practice that involves the removal of rocks or soil from the ground in order to prepare the foundation for building. It also means digging and removing something to create space for a solid foundation. So this he also reminded me of something a couple of weeks ago that happened to me. Because in the last message that I sent about the spiritual warfare that has been taking place over the last 3 weeks, I was asking you guys if you guys have felt it or if you felt it like intensify over the last 3 weeks, because I have. It seemed like it got real in the last couple of weeks. So in these last couple of weeks, there was some issues with my mom's health, and we ended up having to go to emergency, and where we sat in there for 7.5 hours before they could actually see her and establish the what was wrong and whether they were going to keep her or not. So at about 7.5 hours, someone came out and they said, okay, we're backed up in here, and you guys prepare to be here for 7 or 8 hours or more. We're just giving you a heads up. So I go talk to the person and I'm like, well, we've been here about 7.5 hours already. So are you saying this is an additional 7 to 8 hours or what? Because now we're deciding whether or not we want to just leave and go home, and just try to come back again. And so she was advising me like, no, I don't think you should leave. You should wait or whatever the case is. So I'm like, okay. So we wait about another 10 to 15 minutes and I go talk to her again, and then I'm like, okay, well, can you come check on my mom at least, just to make sure everything's cool, because it was like issues with her breathing, and she had took her asthma pump, but she didn't want to keep taking it because she's just like, okay, can you have them check my oxygen level at least, so when I told her that, can you come at least check her oxygen level to make sure she's cool or whatever the case is, then the lady waited like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, and then they called her, and so she went in right then. So it was like God looked out for us that day. We didn't have to wait any longer than we did. We already had to wait like 7.5 hours, but her name was like next on the list anyway, so it was perfect that you know right as she was saying that she was starting to get like agitated, then she was caught in, and so they end up having to keep her overnight and whatever. So we get in the room, and then they're keeping her overnight. So I pray that God, that He puts her in the hands of the best doctors, best nurses, and that she has a good experience here. Which exactly is what happened. She got in the best room possible. I've never even seen a room that like that. I mean, it was like top of the line room, like 50 inch flat screen TV in the wall. It was like, okay, this is okay. She said all of her nurses and everything were good. Everybody was good. So she's doing better now. But that day after I left and to go home and get sleep, well, before that we were talking about God and whatever, and then she was like telling me like she feel like she was under attack, and I'm like, yeah, I've been going through spiritual warfare for a while now, and I feel like it's gotten worse over the last couple of weeks. So when she told me that, we were talking a little bit, and then I was looking at the monitors, like the monitors in the room, whatever, and I guess I saw a light on there. So I guess I said, "What's that light?" So she later on when I got home, she told me like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you like when you said what's that light, I was rebuking the devil, right?" So that was my confirmation that it was done. So I was like, "Oh, okay." I was talking about the monitor, but like I said, God will use you and you don't even know that He's using you. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that part, because that day I also had this feeling when I got home. So when I got home, I prayed again about, because she had to stay, and obviously anybody will feel some kind of way when their parent has to stay in the hospital and then you have to leave, and you just want to make sure they taken care of, and whoever is, taking care of them is a good person, right? So as I got home, I started to feel this feeling like God was tilling the soil around me. This is the only way I can explain this to you, because this is exactly how I felt. I felt like He was tilling the soil around me. Like it was a feeling like He was moving things around me, like things were shifting around me. And then I felt the need to reach my arm up high in the air. Like I reached it high up to the sky, like I was being pulled out of something. And I kept my hand up for a long time, like I was being pulled out of something. So God led me back to that moment, because that happened like almost 2 weeks ago. And then this morning I heard, did you enjoy your excavation? So then he brought me back to that situation, which I remembered it, but I wasn't thinking about it. I just always will remember that feeling, because I've never felt anything like that. So here's the message, you guys. You want to know who you are, who God created you to be, your identity. Well, God is about to show you. He is pulling it out of you right now. The only way for him to show you is to show you in your true rare form. Oh, they didn't know. They didn't know who you was. They didn't know who they lost, who they ridiculed, who they tried to shame, who they counted out. Oh, but God knew. Oh, they didn't know who they was laughing at. Touch not my anointed, and do my prophet no harm, says the Lord. I'm here and they didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know. Count it all joy. They didn't see you, but they will see you now. What you were saying wasn't important. Oh, but they hear you now. What God is pulling out of you is about to shock you and the naysayers. Get ready. Get ready, because you're about to be shocked beyond your wildest dreams. This is the message.